You're too old, and it's too late to start. Has anyone ever said that to you? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's too late to quit. And oh yeah, you're not too old. In fact, the good news is that it's always the right time to start. You've come to the right place. And me and my friends are going to share our stories of why we will never, ever throw in the towel. Welcome to the Too Late to Quit podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Iftikharuddin. Let's go. Can you just give me a couple check one, check two?
Yeah, check one, check two, check three.
That's perfect.
Hey.
That's great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Too Late to Quit podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Iftikharuddin, and I'm very excited to invite into the studio today the one and only Phil Dutra.
Well, thanks.
Phil, thank you so much for coming on to the pod. It's amazing to have you here.
I'm really excited to be here, too, because I've heard a couple of your previous episodes, and they're a lot of fun.
So the whole reason I started this podcast is because a couple of years ago, somebody made the comment to me that they said, I was talking about something I was going to do, and they said, you know, you're too old to do that. You know, that train essentially has passed. And it was shocking to hear that. Mm-hmm. And what it did was it reinforced me even more so to dig my heels in and to stay on my path.
Amen, brother.
Because I've always found it so interesting, the whole idea that when you reach a certain number, that therefore it is time to hand the keys off to somebody else and to essentially lay down, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so the reason why I wanted to invite you onto the podcast is because I met you at the New World Deli. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was sitting there with my wife, and you got up and you, I don't know if I think you might have played Lucky.
I think so, yeah.
I think that's what it was. And I remember immediately my ears being drawn to your songwriting style. Mm-hmm. I was so impressed by how you put your songs together. And I was like, this guy he has to be like a hit pop songwriter. And I remember you came up to me
from
after
your lips,
and you came up to me afterwards. I had performed. You said, "Oh, you said your songs, you're very LA, the songwriting style," which I took as a huge compliment.
Oh yeah, that's how you should have. That's how I meant it.
Well, and I was taken aback, and then I got to see your. I started following you on Instagram, mm-hmm. and I would see the performances you would do, and then I saw an announcement. I saw this is where this interesting story takes place. So I saw on your Instagram this beautiful CD cover of Lucky, and I was like, I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing, and I started to try to look you up on Spotify, and I couldn't find you. And I was like, because it's spelled. I was like, I must have misheard his name, because I thought it was Phil Dutra, and now it's spelled with an L, Phil Dutra. Yes, and so yes. I was so frustrated because I'm like, I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, because I'm like, I want to hear this song, this EP that must be on the socials. It must be on Spotify, and I couldn't find it.
You did nothing wrong.
So I realized I could do what any sensible Gen Xer would do. So I could actually buy the physical CD. I love physical CDs. And that was when then I went onto the website, and I saw, and I have, since I got this in November 3rd, 2025. I've saved this.
Oh, cool.
Waiting for this moment when I could interview you. I've literally had this in a special little folder over there. So I'm going to read this to you. So what I have, I thought this was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. So I have in my hands here, so I've purchased CD number 6. I have a certificate of error presented to Jeff Iftikhruddin, and it reads, "This is to certify that you are in possession of one of the first 200 copies of the CD I'm Feeling Lucky by Phil Dutra, which contains a spelling error in his last name on the CD cover, the back cover, and the CD itself." And when I read that, I was like, this guy, not only does he have a great sense of humor, but this for me is when you hear hokey, quote unquote cheesy phrases that are based in I think very healthy ways of living in this crazy world. The one that comes to my mind is turning lemons into lemonade.
Yep.
This though is so brilliant because me having such a wild and uncommon last name, I'm so used to that. And it's so frustrating. And the way you handle this, I thought was so graceful, but it was so funny that you, instead of maybe people would have thrown him out or put a sticker on it, that not only did you embrace it, but then it became something special.
Of course.
I thought it was totally brilliant. Can you walk me through? And this is one thing I didn't mention. It's signed by Phil, and it says Phil Dutra, and then in parentheses, not Dultra, with 2 exclamation points. Can you please walk me through? Because I want to talk to you about your entire history of making music. I would love to know about the story behind I'm Feeling Lucky.
Well, as far as the design and the manufacturing, that's where it went bad. I'm thrilled with how the songs came out. Love the music in it. Got a designer on Fiverr to design it. Loved it. Love what he did. But he accidentally spelled my name wrong. And I'm not blaming him at all.
Yeah.
Because I was the fact checker. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm the person who, gave the okay. I said, everything looks great. Sent it off to disc makers.
Yeah.
Got my 200 copies back. Thrilled. Put a Facebook post out there with a picture of the CD cover. I was like, I'm so excited. This just came out today. I hope everyone gets a copy of it. And one of the comments, one of my friends from Atlanta, which I lived in the 1990s. Hey, Todd, how's it going? Todd Meadows. And he just had one word comment, and he said, Dultra. And I looked down at that, and I looked at the picture, and I swore a lot. I said, what the and a couple of other bad words. And then about 30 seconds, a minute later, I was like, well, we're doing this now. Wow. And let's make the best of this. Let's have fun with it. And that's what I did.
So I have a couple observations about that, which I find are really interesting. One of the interesting things that I think is that I've noticed that what you've shared on your posts and on your website is about the anxiety that you've had in your life. And when I watch you perform, I've gotten to see you perform at multiple open mics. When I listen to your stage banter, or say I see the way you handle this, there's something on your website that I thought was really interesting. You said, I want every song to lift you up or hold you steady, especially if life throws you a curveball. And for me, you're a perfect example of someone who's literally practicing what they preach, because this with that error and everything that happened, it seems to me the way that you handled it at least lets me know that you have gotten to a level where you're able to, because I think about myself in that situation, that would have produced a ton of anxiety. You handled it though in this masterful way of almost like a exchange of energy.
Yeah,
which
I get what you mean. Yeah.
Seems like the last, like the opposite of anxiety. Can you walk me through that? How you got to that point where you would handle it that way?
Lots of meditation at first. some therapy, some good medication, and just trying to make the best out of anything. Changing the energy of the situation. If I'm anxious about something, which happens a lot, I will try to view it as an observer of the anxiety, as the person who's feeling it, so that it gives a little bit of distance. And as you do that, that separates you from the feeling itself, from the emotion, and you're in a better place to react from that place. And that's only been pretty recently that I've been doing that, getting better and better at that, because I've been dealing with anxiety ever since I was a little kid. I didn't even know what to call it back then.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed on your record, See the World, it looks like you're in a super complex special yoga pose, and in that, on the cover of that.
It's funny because that was pretty random.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize it was actually, I believe, a hatha yoga position. And I was just doing different things within the photo shoot. It was on my bed with it wasn't a green screen, it was a blue screen fabric.
Okay.
And my roommate at the time, Will Arthur from Atlanta, he's the one who took the pictures for me. And I was just trying different positions, different things, and finally I was like, I wonder if that's actually a real yoga position.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know. This was me just having fun with it.
Okay, because that's what I was going to ask you, as far as when did you begin practicing meditation?
Probably in my early to mid 30s, when I finally defined that I had general anxiety disorder, and started going to therapy and trying relaxation, exercises, body scans, things like that. And I really started getting into meditation then. And I've continued with it on and off. I haven't been doing it, steadily for all that time. But lately, the last 5 years, I've been doing it pretty much on a daily basis.
And what does your meditation practice look like? What is the how long do you do it? Is it at a certain time of
It's
day?
usually anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes a day. It's usually when if I'm working from home, it's when I first get up. Or if I'm in the office, I'll take a 20-minute break and go into one of the quiet rooms and do meditation there. It's mostly just mindfulness, listening to my breath, trying to concentrate on the breath. Thoughts come and go. You let them come and go, and you always go back to the breath. And that's pretty much my practice. There's a couple of breathing things that I do here and there just to try to concentrate on something other than, I try to think of different parts of my body, focus on that, and just to almost like trying to exercise your mind a little more.
The reason I ask is that I was thinking about this last night. I got to see you perform at the House Wine.
That was fun. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, no, Matt McDonald creates such a cool vibe there. But there was this really funny moment where, and I'd walked out from it. I came back in, and there was a performer who had asked for a capo, and I saw that you had given. I missed it, but I saw that you had given her one, but then she wanted a different one that a guy produced out of his bag. I didn't. But what I saw is that you destroyed the room with your reaction, and it was everybody just burst out laughing. It was very funny. But you have this and I talk about this a lot. The idea that how you do anything is how you do everything, and your songwriting is so it has this beautiful precision with it. That's also super, super emotional and very well thought out. That's the feeling I get from it. And your sense of humor you're just as funny as you are good, the way you write songs. So beautifully. And it was this great moment because it was
she rejected my my capo.
But it was like I felt like I literally felt like I was watching a sitcom. That was the level of your delivery, and I'm curious if because that's what I've been really wondering, because you're so open about something. I feel that that is at least growing up in the 80s was like would almost be the equivalent of severe mental illness. If you mentioned that you had anxiety, that was something was wrong with you if you had that. And the older I got, the more I realized like this is a something that's experienced by millions and millions of people, but there's so much, I don't know if it's shame, stigma about it, where people don't admit that they have it. And that's why, so I think it's so cool that you actually
I think
talk
I
about
share
it.
too much sometimes. But, but why not? If one person hears you and you normalize it, good, good on me for doing that for one person. And I hope they would do the same for someone else.
There's another quote off of your website that I thought it was you say I'm inspired by people who overcome hard things, by the books that crack something open in your soul, and by those quiet, honest moments that remind us of who we really are. And when I listen to your songs, and I've had I'm feeling lucky on repeat since I got it in November. I have a workspace in the garage, and that's on that little CD player there. I'm making all these connections between, and that's why it's helpful to hear it, because I know there's going to be many people listening to this episode who live with anxiety, and I think you're this awesome example of someone who is forthright about it, and then how it's something that has what you describe as music being a way for you to process that. Can you delve into that?
It's hard. It's hard to pin down exactly. I think it's more of just a bit of catharsis or therapy, just to get your emotions out some way, some creative way. And for me, it's songwriting. I don't think I set out to write a song about anxiety. I just think that sometimes, like one of my songs, "Feel This Way," is about anxiety, trying to overcome anxiety. And I didn't even realize I was writing it until I was pretty much at the end. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what it's about." But then I really leaned into it for that song. For some songs, I think it just comes through either struggling with it or overcoming it just by the lyrical content. And then after the fact, I'm like, okay, now I understand where that came from.
Can you please walk us through when did you first start writing songs?
I was just out of college. I went to NYU, and I had started a cappella group with one of my college roommates. His name is Brian Matson. And it was 5 guys from NYU, and a cappella, just no instruments, just 5 voices. And we used to perform in Washington Square Park under the arch, because it was great acoustics there.
Oh, wow.
And several of the other singers, actually, I think two or three of the other singers were writing songs, playing guitar. And I was like, I could try that. I think I could do that. And started writing some really bad songs. The first ones you write. Although some of the first ones I write, I still perform. For some reason, I think they still hold up. But yeah, I saw people doing it. I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot. And I had played a little guitar when I was really young. My sister would take guitar lessons, and she would come home and teach me how to play the songs that she learned. So I had a little bit of background in that. And then at that point, I started to really learn how to play the guitar. I wasn't very good at all. Just, bar chords were impossible.
Yeah.
But after a while, you get better and better, and the songwriting got better and better. Um, for me, it was like, yeah, let me try this too. So it was from their example
Hmm.
that I was inspired to try it myself.
When what kind of guitar was your sister learning on?
Oh, it was a nylon string classic guitar that my
Uh-huh.
dad had. It was my dad's guitar.
Okay.
And she just took it to, I think it was our cousin's Catholic school where they were teaching
Hmm.
some church-based music. And she would come home from those. She was like 4 years older than me. She would come home from her lessons and teach me how to do that, which was a lot of fun. I liked doing it.
Okay. And how old were you when that was happening?
Probably about 6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, right, because we were still living in Queens.
Uh-huh.
And I moved out to Long Island when I was 7, but it was at the Catholic school in Queens where she took lessons.
Were you writing songs? Were you composing songs at that age?
No, no, no,
No?
no, no. I started the first song I ever wrote. I was probably 22 or 23.
Okay.
It was right when I was graduating NYU.
When did you end up getting your own personal guitar?
Um, I got mine when we had a 5-man group, went down to a trio, kind of like Crosby, Stills, and Nash,
Okay.
and then it went to a duo.
Uh-huh.
And Brian, who was playing guitar, started playing bass, and that's when I picked up a guitar, so we could have a bass and a guitar. And we played a lot around Atlanta with songs. He wrote, half the songs. I wrote half the songs. We did some covers as well. But that's when I first started playing guitar.
How did that guitar come into your life?
Actually, Brian found it at a pawn shop.
Really?
Yeah, it was a Takamine 12 string that I still have today.
Really?
Love
Oh,
that
wow.
guitar.
Okay.
It sounds great. It was made, I think, in like 74 or 75.
Oh my
There was like
gosh.
it's dated in the inside. You can see on the
Yeah.
tag. But it sounds really nice. It's got a warm, smooth sound.
Uh-huh.
I don't play it as much. Um, I pick it up every now and then. It needs a string change.
Uh-huh.
It's been a while.
So that's interesting because it's a much different experience
Yeah.
playing a 12 string than a 6
Yeah,
string.
yeah.
So,
So I really learned on that 12 string.
wow.
And then eventually I got the guitar that I have now.
Uh-huh.
I've had that for decades now. It's a Sunlight guitar they made in China.
Okay.
And a friend of mine from LA, Jimmy Yamagishi,
Uh-huh.
I knew him from a songwriter group that he is not a part of, but he started. And he was sponsored by the Sunlight. So he would get these guitars from them. He'd put in the electronics.
Yeah.
And then I bought one from myself and for my dad. And I've been playing it ever since. I just love it.
So your dad is a player as well.
He was, yeah.
He was,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
he passed a few years ago. He played violin when he was young, and he played guitar. And he actually built violins when he was a teenager in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
My sister still has one of the guitars that he built. No, I'm sorry, not guitar, violin that he built.
Okay, now I'm remembering, I think when the whole Dutra thing happened, I think you made a comment about your Portuguese heritage.
Yeah, yeah.
About that. So did you guys ever jam together, you and your dad?
Very little, because starting at 22, we moved down to Atlanta from New York, and most of my adult life was living in different cities than my family. I would go as much as I could back to go visit.
Sure.
But it was very rare that my dad and I had a guitar at the same time.
Okay.
But I would love listening to him play as a kid. He would play all the time around the house, and he had those chord books and different songs that he would learn.
Sure.
So yeah, he played all the time.
Would you say you got who would you attribute your musical genes to?
My dad, for the music itself. My mom was a singer too, not performance singer, but she sang around the house all the time. She had a very pretty voice. So I'd say a combination of both of them.
So I'm curious what that experience was, because I love that park, and in the summertime there's so many musicians there. What was that like singing a cappella under the arch? Did
It
you
was
have to get
amazing.
permits or anything, or how did
No,
you?
no, no. It
Uh-huh.
was you showed up, and if no one else was there, luckily,
Yeah.
you just start singing, and five voices, an a cappella group draws a crowd pretty quickly.
Uh-huh.
And we would perform to a couple hundred people. We do like 3 or 4 sets through a Saturday afternoon, pass around the hat, and make a couple $100. And
Oh my gosh.
speaking of my mom and dad, they would drive about an hour and a half from Long Island
Uh-huh.
and come in and watch us perform all the time. It was nice having them there, and their support as well.
What songs would you sing?
Oh, well, we did doo-wop,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time, modern a cappella,
Uh-huh.
which was like Howard Jones and George Michael and Van Halen and Bon Jovi would do a cappella versions of.
Acapella Van Halen?
Yes, what was that song? Oh, I can't think of the song. "Living on a Prayer" was the Bon Jovi song
Yeah.
we did. That was
Uh-huh.
it. "I Want Your Sex" was the big showstopper.
Uh-huh.
That's the one we always say for the last. I
Wow.
can't remember the Van Halen song. It was "Dance the Night Away."
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Brian was the one who would arrange the vocals, and they came out really great. And we always had a great crowd, and it was nice to make that extra money on a Saturday or Sunday when you're a poor student.
Do you have any recordings of these?
Yeah, I have a couple of recordings of some live shows that we did that Brian um, saved all these years and then made copies for us. So they're sitting in my CD bin. I pull them out every now and then just to get a good laugh.
So walk me through the steps from singing and in an a cappella group on Saturdays in Washington Square Park to winning the National Michael Lloyd Song Contest for Taxi. That's insane.
Yeah, that
How-
was pretty cool.
How do you go from singing a cappella to then having this song be chosen?
It was a combination of, singing with the a cappella group, then the trio, then myself and Brian as a duo
Okay.
in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And then he was getting more involved in TV production.
Okay.
So I did a solo CD. That was the first CD I did.
Uh-huh.
And then when we moved to LA, I started on my second CD, and She Walks Away was the first song I wrote for that one. And Taxi is, I don't know if anyone knows what Taxi is. It's kind of like not a song placement, but it's a way to pitch songs to different opportunities. And I had been writing and recording for at least 10, 15 years before I wrote She Walks Away. So I was writing, my writing was progressing. You start out writing really bad songs and they get better as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the opportunities for Taxi was submitting it for a song contest for their road rally. It was basically their musicians conference in LA. And luckily I was living there, and I got a call before the conference. I was planning on going to the conference.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, you're one of the finalists for this contest." And I said, that's really cool. And the contest was playing the song in front of this huge audience at the conference. And it was by a round of applause. Who they play like the first verse and chorus. And it was by a round of applause. And
Wow.
got selected. So I got to remix that song. It had already been recorded.
Yeah.
And I hadn't released the CD yet. So I got to work with Michael Lloyd, and he's been around forever. He was the music supervisor for, what was that Patrick Swayze movie? With oh God, I can't think of her name. The dance movie that he was in, Patrick Swayze.
Roadhouse?
No, it was.
Oh no, the
before
one
that.
where they're in the woods.
Yeah,
in Atlanta.
No, they're in the Catskills.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't.
This is
totally
what happens
drawing.
when you turn 60 years old. You can't remember.
I know.
But
I know what you're talking about.
Michael Lloyd has been around. He's produced. He's a songwriter. He's been a music supervisor. So he remixed the song for me, and I used that remix in the CD. I had the original version and the remix version on that CD. So that was a thrill to work with him. He has his own studio in his Beverly Hills home that he's lived in for decades. I think he grew up in that house as well.
Wow.
But I got to work with him, and he was amazing. Yeah, just winning that contest, I was like, wait, maybe I'm good at this.
What I find really interesting about your songs is that you can give me that title and I can instantly hear the melody. I can hear the hook. So you mentioned a couple of things that I think are very interesting. So you're performing a cappella, sans instruments, with 4 fellow musicians on the fly in Washington Square Park, where hundreds of people. Then you're playing this road rally. How many people were in the audience?
That was probably about 1,500 to 2,000 people. But I wasn't performing. It was just a recording of the song. But I was standing up there,
So
shaking.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because those are. I was reading something. I don't remember. I think it was maybe in Stephen Pressfield's book, the War of Art, talking about how the reason why. I think the statistic is that one of the top fears amongst humans is speaking in public, right?
Yep.
And that the roots in that are tied to the fact that you're essentially being judged by your tribe. So even being in the audience, but then having your song played and then having that moment of it, knowing it's being judged by the level of applause, or performing like that, what is your relationship with anxiety? Because those are two, even hearing it secondhand, right? Like that's...
Yeah, you would think that someone without anxiety wouldn't go into performing. But I enjoyed it so much, and I wanted to overcome that anxiety.
So awesome.
And I think what's helped me over the last several years is just doing open mics. And the one that I go to every other week now, but a great guy called Glenn Collins. He's been around Austin forever. He's a country guy, and he's been performing in country bands for decades. But he runs an open mic. For a while, it was weekly at the Whiskey Girl Saloon in Manor. Now it's at the Big Easy Saloon in Pflugerville.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, I get to sing at least 6 to 8 songs.
Really?
So every week, now every other week, I'm pretty much performing a full set.
Wow.
And doing that week over week, I'm at a point where I'm really enjoying the process now, as opposed to thinking about the process.
Sure.
And being outside of it and just or thinking too much while you're performing. I think now I'm just enjoying the performance.
I hope it's okay with you that I'm continuing to talk about this. The reason why I'm so passionate about it is because as someone who also deals with anxiety and knows so many other people, and the fact that it wasn't taken seriously, I think, for so many years, at least in the medical field, where that's what I thought was so interesting about your quote about what inspires you about people who overcome hard things. Because I would imagine that since you started recording, that there are other artists who have been connected to your journey based on the anxiety that they have in their lives, and they see you, yes, you have it, and you are still, you are diving headfirst into the creation of your art.
Well, I hope it's having that effect on people. If it is, I'm thrilled.
When I started listening to your and I'm curious, I really want to learn more about when you had that session with Michael Lloyd. Because I've had a lot of time to think about it and to figure out how I wanted to put it into words. There is something so, which, again, as I'm connecting all of the dots, I was thinking, like, all of his songs, like, I can sing, they all have some really interesting hook in them.
Well, thank you.
And when I think about there's I always go by the vibe, and it's a very honest vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, coupled with your sense of humor, which I believe comes from just having a really healthy view of the world and knowing who you are, what you mentioned in that quote, that's what makes it so easy for me to connect to your
Thank you.
music, because it feels, I'm always like, this guy is he's sharing this really cool story. Did the song, She Walks Away, did that change a lot from the version you had to when you went into the studio?
Yeah, it really did,
Yeah.
because I wrote it. It was actually much lower energy. I was thinking more of a country song.
Okay.
And that song started, I was like, I forget what country song I was listening to, and there was the chorus had just held this note for several measures, and I was like, let me try writing a chorus with that. And it wasn't even, I didn't have the story yet. The goal of that song was just to write a chorus where the high note was sustained. And a lot of my songs, when I first start writing them, I get more of a groove and a melody, and then maybe a word comes to mind, or a phrase comes to mind that seems to fit. And that's when I'm like, okay, where is this coming from? What's that about? And it was She Walks Away, and I was like, okay, who is she? Who's she walking away from? It's from his point of view, and she's not there anymore. He's just watching a video of her walk away, hoping that every time he plays it, there's a different ending, and there never is. So the song itself, I sent it to my producer at the time, Ry Randa in Los Angeles, and I said, have at it. And I gave him, just guitar and vocals, and came back to the studio to listen to it before putting the vocals down. And he made this, it was this electric guitar driven rock song. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was going to go that way. And I was really pleasantly surprised at what he did with it. So it became a much more driving, energetic song, which I think fits the vocal and the lyric a little better than how I was singing it at first, because there's a desperation to the lyric, and this heartbreak that he can't help but vocalize.
Yeah.
And I think the way he did it really did the song justice.
And his name is Ry
Randa.
Randa.
Yeah.
But that was the version with Michael Lloyd, or this?
Michael Lloyd took the tracks that Ry recorded,
Oh,
and remixed those.
Got it.
So
okay.
he pulled up some of the things that may have been buried in Ry's mix that he thought was interesting. Some of the percussive elements that Ry did, he was like, listen to this. Let's bring this up a little more. Gave it a little more of a funky mix to it. But I go back and forth which one I like better. But I'm pleasantly surprised by how both of them turned out.
You mentioned in your bio, you mentioned a couple artists that you get compared to. I'm curious, who are your favorite musicians? Who are the artists that have the most inspired you as a songwriter?
Billy Joel, the Beatles, great power pop band called Fountains of Wayne. Just a lot. I grew up listening to AM pop radio, WABC in New York.
Okay.
And they played everything from blue-eyed soul to country music to rock and roll to pop tunes. They played everything. So a lot of my influences were very varied, I guess you could say. There was a lot of different sounds that I loved. My dad bought this old station wagon, and there were 2 8-track cassettes in there. One was John Denver's greatest hits and Charlie Rich's greatest hits. And we played those over and over on long road trips. So I know those all too well.
Wow.
I even play Charlie Rich's, I cover his song, The Most Beautiful Girl.
Uh-huh.
I play that almost every time I do an open mic because I just love singing that song.
Oh, wow. Have you always been so open as far as with inviting other people to collaborate in the production level of your music?
Yeah, I think because I know my limitations
Yeah.
as far as production,
Huh.
and I welcome other people's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that, whatever they play, I'm going to love, because I had, feedback for Rye. I had feedback for my current project was with Lang Freeman here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same situation. I would give them just a vocal and guitar, and they both recorded the drums and the guitars and keyboards and background vocals, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I really like most of what they do,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
what they did.
Right.
Every now and then I had feedback, but for the most part, I was just thrilled with getting someone else's perspective on what I started. I really like that part of the creation process, is giving it to someone else and having them run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even co-writes. The only co-writes I've ever done is songs that I've started,
Mm-hmm.
got stuck with, and then went to someone like Brian,
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, what can you come up with?"
Uh-huh.
And then he would come up with a bridge that I wasn't even thinking about, and then
Sure.
some lyrics that he brought it in a different direction. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I like what you did there." So for the most part, I've been pleasantly surprised with the collaborations that I have done.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done a co-write sitting in a room with someone
Yeah.
trying to flesh out a song that
Sure.
way.
Yeah.
I've always been a little afraid of doing that.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's going to be my next challenge, is trying to do a co-write with someone in a room, coming up with a topic or a song or a hook, and trying to finish a song, like they do in Nashville.
Sure.
I've never done that, but yeah, all my collaborations are I start something.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you take this?
Mm-hmm.
Where can you take this?
So how can you talk to us, because my wife and I recently watched on YouTube Something Borrowed, which has your song Right Behind the Rain.
Yeah.
Can you please explain the process from you have this She Walks Away wins the National Michael Lloyd Award, the song contest. How then, what is the journey to having your song in a Warner Brothers movie?
It's funny because it was at that same Taxi Road rally
Uh-huh.
where another panel was listening to music,
Okay.
and it was the day after I won the song contest.
Mm-hmm.
And I submitted She Walks Away for that panel,
Yeah.
with some music supervisors. It was a music supervisor panel. They were talking about, different elements of songs that they liked, and they played my song, and I was getting good feedback. And then one of the supervisors said, I was really digging this song, and then I really was disappointed with the chorus. And it's so funny because the day before I win a song contest, then I hear that feedback from a someone in the industry, and my stomach just sank.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh my God, I'm terrible. I don't know what I'm doing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This is after winning the contest.
Wow.
So once again, after the panel was done, I went up to her and I said, "Hey, I'm the guy whose chorus you hated. Here's my CD." And probably about 3 weeks later, I got an email from, it was Crucial Music.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, we want to use that song and 3 others. We want to add them to our library." I was like, how ironic that, she really didn't like that chorus, or said she was disappointed, and then they wanted it for their library.
Wow.
And nothing happened with those songs. But about 6 years later, I'd already moved from LA to Austin, and I get an email from them saying, "Hey, we're putting your song Right Behind the Rain in this Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah.
FYI, it's going to be, it's coming out in May. I forget what year it was. It's been a while since that movie came out."
Uh-huh.
And I had my husband, I said, "Read this email. Does this look legit? Is this real?"
Yeah.
And it was real, and it's in the movie. It's in the background. It's 10 seconds as background music, walking into a bar restaurant and you're like, oh, there's my song. And it's done now. But the best part was at the end, you got the rolling credits and there's your name and there's the song and, written by, performed by.
Wow.
That was really cool.
What was it like to be sitting in the theater and to hear it?
It was really cool for 10 seconds. And then we look at each other and go, well, I guess that's it. But yeah, it was a thrill. It was a big thrill.
That's great. So I'm curious. I'd love it if you could share your thoughts. If there is somebody listening who is maybe say they're just getting started, or they have a couple songs living on a ghost in a graveyard in their hard drive. If you could speak to those people, maybe they have certain struggles. What could you share with them about your journey that they could
push through? Just keep pushing through. If you have that creative bug, just follow it. If it's something that you really love to do, if it's a passion, but you're afraid, go through the fear. Just find a way to love doing what you do. Get people to help. If you have a couple of songs or maybe just a melody, get a guitar player that to come in and get some chords behind it. If you have the song and you got the guitar and a vocal, find a producer. There's plenty of producers to find online. You could find people. We were just talking about that before this podcast. There's different ways of advancing what you already have to make a more complete project, whether it's a song or a CD or even just performing live. Find people who could help you get to the next step, I think, is the best way that I always try to do it.
When you write, can you just walk me through the process of when you write a song?
I usually get my song ideas when I'm laying in bed, and I always have my phone next to me. And if I get something that's stuck in my head and I'm like, oh, maybe that's a cool little riff vocally or lyrically, I'll get up so I don't wake up my husband, go into the other room and just use my voice memo.
Yeah.
Try, the next day maybe getting up and fiddling with the guitar and coming up with different chord progressions or something that sounds interesting. Maybe a progression that goes, takes a left turn and you're like, oh wait, that's weird but cool. I like having that in my songs. And then I usually end up being able to write the first verse and the chorus, just like a lot of songwriters do. And then that second verse is a bitch. Where are you going next with this? You don't want to say the same thing over, because I think the first verse gets you to the chorus, then a different song idea gets you back to the chorus from a different viewpoint. So it changes something, how you view that chorus. And I usually get that by filling up a tub of hot water and soaking in the tub and just thinking about ideas and going through my head and just zoning out until I'm like, oh, wait, there it is. That's the second verse.
Really?
Yeah. Hot baths are great for a lot of things, for relaxing, for zoning out enough to where your muse is coming through and you figure out a different thing to say in the second verse, or a bridge. Or a different melodic line. That's usually where if I'm not taking a hot bath, I'm just holed up in my music room, just fiddling with a guitar, trying to think of different things until something catches my ear. And that's usually how I overcome that second verse challenge. We've all been there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So please tell us what are you working on right now? What is your how are things going with I'm Feeling Lucky? What is your current state right now?
I'm getting ready to do my CD release party. It's been forever.
Okay.
It's so funny because I did a CD release party in Atlanta for my first CD, in LA for my second CD. I didn't even think about doing one for here until Glenn Collins at one of the open mics said, hey, Phil, you should do You should do a CD release party. I was like,
yeah.
hey, I should do a CD release party.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that in June at Buddy's Place.
Oh, wow.
Which is this great dive bar on Burnett Road. And it's they have a country jam every Thursday night that Glenn hosts. And he hooked me up with the owner, Shane. And I'm going to be doing my guitarist, who's been playing with me forever. I haven't played with him for a long time because I've just been doing the open mics.
Yeah.
But I've known him forever, Daniel David. And he has a duo that's going to open up the show. And then Daniel and I, just two guitars, we're going to do a second set of songs that we've played in the past.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a full band of just the CD itself. We're going to play the CD through.
Wow.
For the third set. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I don't have any other shows that I have booked at all because I get my performing bug, from open mics.
Yeah,
if something comes along, an opportunity comes along, I'll definitely take it. But I'm not actively pursuing shows right now. Just because I love doing my weekly thing.
Sure.
I get to play anywhere from 6 to 10 songs sometimes, depending on how many people show up for the open mics.
Sure.
And just happy doing that right now.
That's awesome. Where can people go to listen to your music?
They could go to my website, phildutra.com. They could go to, like every other singer-songwriter, any streaming platform. They could go to Bandcamp. But for the most part, if you're a streamer, you could go to Spotify, listen to everything I have out there. If you want to buy the CD, you could go to my website. It depends on, however you like listening to your music.
Awesome. Well, Phil, on that note, I'd love it if you could close us out with a song.
I'd love to.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming to the Too Late to Quit podcast. This has been amazing to get to ask you these questions I've been wondering about since I got your certificate in the mail. And thanks for sharing your story. I can't wait for people to hear your story.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate that.
It's great to have you. So remember, it's always the right time to start, and it's too late to quit. You got this.
So this is I Feel Your Pain. I want to write a song about a cheater. Because in country music, modern day country singers just don't like being the bad guy. So I wanted to write a song about a guy who's cheating on his wife, and I'm willing to be the bad guy. You're sleeping next to me, eyes closed but I can see you've been crying alone. You know they cut so bad, the kids they miss their dad. My heart had sank like a stone. 'Cause I got home at midnight hour, ran right into the shower to wash away the shame. And I broke the way you're feeling. This fault goes floor to ceiling, and no one else is to blame. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I cause it over and over again. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I'm gonna do what I should to be good and pray you love me again. It's not enough to change. I'm gonna rearrange my life and everything in it. First up is family. It's more than enough for me, and I'll take my love to the limit. Come on, let's take a long vacation, make it a celebration. The twins are turning 13. From now until forever, we'll make our lives together the best that you've ever seen. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I cause it over and over again. I feel your pain, I'm gonna do what I should to be good and pray you love me again. And pray you love me again. You're sleeping next to me, eyes closed but I can see you've been crying alone. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I cause it over and over again. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I'm gonna do what I should to be good. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I cause it over and over again. I feel your pain, I feel your pain. I'm gonna do what I should to be good. I'm gonna do what I should to be good and pray you love me again.
Thank you for listening to the Too Late to Quit podcast, a 424 Records and Rude Rudy production. Copyright 2026, all rights reserved. You got this.